What's up, Ego Hackers? This is C.S. Joseph, and this is another How to Parent lecture, How to Parent ISFPs. This is, quite frankly, one of the more difficult lectures that I've had the honor and opportunity to film. And the reason for that is because I have a dear friend of mine who is an ISFP, and they are suffering pretty hard right now. Anyway, I'd like the opportunity to dedicate this lecture to this person, to this ISFP. I recently got a call recently that they were not doing very well, and the entire contents of this particular lecture is extremely relevant to their situation as a person, and basically anything and everything involving them and their life and everything that they're going through right now. I am really sad and quite frankly ashamed that we live in a culture and a society that puts people in this position. She's a very dear friend of mine, and I recently got a call that she basically had slit her wrists, and she was recovering in a hospital, and she lived. She didn't get to her second wrist. Apparently one of them was there, and it's just been really sad to watch her deterioration. But I think what's even more sad is the fact that her family, even her parents, that she never felt safe to actually go to them. She never felt safe to even have a conversation with them, because she was hyper aware of their judgments of her on a consistent basis. So this lecture is dedicated to this person, and who she is not really your concern, or anyone's concern for that matter, but I care a great deal about her and her family. And so if you're watching this, I hope you can understand. And I also hope that perhaps maybe you could give this video to your family so that they can actually understand you, where you're coming from, and not judge you for who you actually are. Because the honest truth is, you're a victim of your family, you're a victim of your church, you are a victim of this society, and this is who you actually are. You are your own person. It's not your fault that you are judged in these ways. So this lecture is dedicated to this person, and I sincerely hope that it will contribute to potentially saving her life, as I would hope all of my content does. If there's one thing I absolutely abhor in this world, it is suicide. I absolutely hate it. I also hate self-harm, and I guess that makes sense because I'm extroverted sensing demon, and my golden pair has introverted sensing demon and is very prone to self-destructive and nihilistic tendencies. But I'm here to say that there is a better future, there is a better tomorrow, and you don't have to be afraid. And hopefully my words within this lecture will give you the confidence and take away all of your fear, so that you know that you really do have a choice. You know that you matter. You matter far more than you realize. Anyway, I chose the venue for this particular lecture to be one of my favorite pool halls. Pool halls are oftentimes a very ISFP environment, and sure enough, got one in front of me right now, got one over there. They're all over the place. Just like I did the INFJ coffee shop one, I'm here right now in an ISFP environment, and I am not disappointed. I mean, folks, if you could just sit there and appreciate the art of the ISFP beard, I think the world would be a much better place. You know what I'm saying? Anyway. So, how to parent ISFPs. What's going to happen if you don't parent your ISFP properly? ISFPs are very unique individuals. They're my bronze pair. They have really high compatibility with me. Oftentimes, like when in the presence of ISFP women, for example, I can't help myself but die of cute. And I will have to say I'm a little biased because as a small child, I was actually molested by an ISFP woman. And it took me many, many years to even like shake that. It always screwed with me. It always screwed with me. But what I can say about ISFPs, they have extroverted sensing parent, and extroverted sensing pessimistic has a special place in my heart because extroverted sensing pessimistic, be it inferior functions or parent functions, they just speak to me. They just really, really speak to me. And I think that's because, I have introverted sensing pessimistic as infantile and as inferior of an introverted sensing function it actually is. And it's interesting, like I have an ISFP graphic artist who works for me, who funnily enough replaced my previous ISFP graphic artist. And anytime they produce something for me, I just automatically like it. I just automatically want it. I just automatically am just blown away every single time. They're always like, oh, how graphic artists are. They're like, oh, let's just, make this, I'll make this image for you, I'll make this graphic for you, and we'll do different revisions, whatever. Honestly, between these artists, I rarely, if ever, have a revision. Revisions are extremely rare. They're extremely rare for me. And honestly, like, having that opportunity, it's so great. I don't know what it is about SE Parent or SE Inferior, but SE Parent, like, you guys out there you speak to me. Everything you make, everything you create, I want more of it in my life. The artwork created by SE Parent, or the systems made by SE Inferiors, for example, it's amazing. And I have that art, posted on my wall at home, and it's incredible. There's this woman, she made me this painting, and she sent it to me. It was the original. It's an amazing piece, so beautiful. And being able to have that art where I can capture, or they capture, their FI hero feelings, and whenever like I'm feeling a certain way and I need to change how I feel, that art is there on the wall to continue to speak to me. And it allows me to feel human. It allows me to have feelings, basically, because like I'm FI trickster. That is beautiful to me. That is incredible to me. And this is what ISFPs do, and it's also what INTJs and even INFJs do for me on a consistent basis. They all have their unique creative talents. And I'm not here to like rank one better than the other. I love them all. I love them all. Far be it from me to limit myself for what creation has to offer, because it is, quite frankly, bloody amazing. Now, I know a lot of you folks think I'm crazy, for thinking that intelligent design is a thing. For me, it's not about religion, it's about psychology, a matter of psychology. But if you want to learn more about that, watch, season 17 on the YouTube channel. For those of you that are offended that I talk about intelligent design, well, I don't get offended if you talk about atheism or evolution. There's definitely something to evolution. I just think it's an incomplete theory, because it's a theory. And as much as intelligent design, too, is an incomplete theory. but I think there's more evidence for intelligent design than not, and that's kind of where I'm arriving at my conclusion. So, anywho, another ISFP showed up wearing orange. This other ISFP is like in all red, and they both have the same exact beards, and they're both wearing their hats backwards. It's hilarious to me. This is like the ISFP kingdom. Go into a pool hall, folks. If you want to find ISFPs in your life, that's where you go. They everywhere. So, congratulations, you're a parent, and you have an ISFP as a child. You just die of cute whenever you're around them because, FI hero, they're very sympathetic, they care so much, and then sometimes they don't care enough. Sometimes they selfish AF, all about themselves. Sometimes they get super mega entitled, even to the point of being entitled to other people's bodies. Well, welcome to FI hero, right? That's what can happen. That level of entitlement can extend into other areas that are really bad. Like, for example, in my experience and within my coaching practice and couples counseling that I've done, ISFPs seem to be, ISFP men specifically, and I've seen it from women too. It's not just a men thing. Women do it too. ISFPs are the most likely to be physically abusive in relationships. Now, most people think that's an ESTP thing. ESTPs have the reputation for it, but because ISFPs are so background, they're so hidden, it's actually a huge problem and a more prevalent problem with ISFPs. Because ISFPs just look super innocent. They're always putting up a facade, getting people to think one way. They're really good at looking good without actually being good. And that's because, so as a result, people just don't know. People don't know about what, they are at risk of or what they do. They're not aware that is a risk factor. If you're in a relationship with an ISFP, there's a very good chance that physical violence may be in your future. But we're going to talk about how to avoid that, how to teach your ISFP son or daughter in such a way where that doesn't happen to them or they don't happen to other people. And hopefully, even worse, not become entitled to other people's bodies, such as how my cousin, became entitled to my body, basically. And, and with that violation. It's definitely a thing. But there's so much more. There's so much more out there. They can have severe depression and lose their work ethic. Let me tell you something about ISFPs, folks. No one. If an ISFP is in their flow state, if they're in their element, no one can outwork them. Nobody. No one is more diligent than an ISFP. You think you can outwork them? You really can't. You can't. Unless, of course, they don't care, or they're not deriving meaning from their work, or they don't feel special about their work, or they don't have something tangible to show for it at the end of the day, right? Those are the people, right? Those are the people that, end up having some really big time depression, and then they lose all motivation, they lose all steam, and then they become insanely idle, and they're just sitting there cruising through life. I actually have a dear friend of mine. He's a former employee, contractor person for CSJ, and we have a mutual friend, and I found out recently that he's given his life over to meth, and he's a meth head right now. He's a tweaker. Broke my heart. Absolutely broke my heart to hear that my friend was this way. And don't get me wrong, I've had some problems with him in some ways. Like, our relationship is very rocky at best because I asked him to do something for me, I hired him to do something for me, and then he just arbitrarily decided that he didn't want to do it. Went full idleness mode, and he wouldn't even give me the opportunity to complain or to criticize him. He just door slammed me, ghosted me, out of his life. And I'm like, wow, what a pussy, because the one thing that the ISFP is trying to do above all other things in life is to save face. Save face. They don't care. They really, truly don't care about anything else. Now, granted, sometimes the ISFP will worry because of extroverted feeling nemesis. They will worry about not being caring enough. They'll worry about that. But the issue is, though, what they truly actually care about more than anything is saving face. They gotta save face. They will do anything. They will commit crimes to save face. Now, granted, not all ISFPs would do that. The more healthy ones wouldn't do that. But I've seen some ISFPs go super far with saving face. They will lie to save face. They will do whatever it takes to save face. Don't forget, they are pragmatic. They are independent. I had an ISFP one time who, was married, and she started sending me photos of herself, and this is grossly inappropriate, right? Like, it's one thing, like, if it's like a single woman, doing it, although I do have a rule that says, like, hey, if you send me photos of yourself without my permission, I'm going to block you, and you can't be in my life. No. You send me photos without permission, you banned. You done. But, this one was, a whole other issue, because, this is a married woman. This is an ISFP who is informatively, because she's informatively telling me that, hey, if you and your wife don't work out, and if myself and my husband don't work out, whatnot, blah, 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 then maybe we can get together. She never directly said it, but she was informative about it, insinuated it, right? That way, if anyone was to actually read the text, they'd be like, some people would agree with me and some people wouldn't. And, because it's, so hard, with their TE inferior and how they could twist the truth. They can mix truth in with lies, or they can make lies come true. You can't really tell the difference, right? But because, I'm expert intuition hero and I'm informative too, it's obvious to me, one of the major psychological minorities, what her interest was, what her actual intent was with saying that. Sent me a photo of herself in a dress, don't I look sexy, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you're married. So, when you look at the mature feminine, the mature masculine, rule number one about the mature feminine, what is rule number one? Rule number one, quite frankly, is, for women, is don't give yourself away so cheaply, because that will screw your fellow woman, right? That's the cartel of the mature feminine. The number one, so rule number one for women is don't screw over your fellow woman. And you can screw over fellow women by giving yourself away cheaply. If you feel cheap, then you're likely to give yourself away cheaply. You shouldn't do that. Instead, you should work to make yourself feel expensive so that you are not giving yourself away so easily and opening your legs to just about anyone, right? Well, on the mature masculine side, there's a similar rule. Don't screw over your fellow man. And I respect her husband. He's the kind of guy that will jump out of helicopters to save people's lives. Amazing fellow. An absolute amazing guy. And I have great respect for him. I once saw a photo of him pulling somebody outside of a river during a flood. It was incredible. Fantastic fellow, great respect for the guy. Works really hard to earn everything he has. And I love that about him. But the cardinal rule of the mature masculine is never screw over a fellow man. And the number one way that a man can screw over another man is to basically screw or sleep with his wife. And I would never do that. I did one time in my life, but I had permission from her husband. I had full permission, and he too was an ISFP. You know what's really funny about that situation? He was married to his polar opposite, an ENTJ, but they were just trying to keep it together for their family, but they recognized that there is no way they're going to meet each other's needs. So they just made a deal. You know, hey, let's have an open marriage, but let's, you know, every time we're considering somebody, let's have a conversation and talk about it. And like, I remember listening to her call her ISFP husband and ask him permission right in front of me for me to sleep with his wife, basically. And he gave permission. You know, as much as that grosses out a lot of people, it's kind of interesting, you know. Yeah, I know that doesn't fit the morality of society, but, you know, that was like when I was like 26, 27 years old, etc. And I'm 34 right now. So it's a bit ago. And, you know, they're still together. And it's interesting because he, like, this ISFP, he flew across the country, you know, from the East Coast to the West Coast to shake my hand. And he literally thanked me for taking care of his wife while she was working a contract away from home. Shook my hand. And this guy, let me tell you, he's as big as Andre the Giant. He had bigger hands than I ever could. And if he wanted to, with one hand, he could literally kill me. Done. But, you know, he's like the Jolly Green Giant. This guy cares, right? And he thanked me. I was like, wow. How does that exist? What kind of love is that? What kind of humility is that? You know, that's why oftentimes I'm baffled by, you know, that brilliance of FI Hero, you know, and being able to experience that or have surreal experiences like that. Now, sure, I know a lot of you will probably judge me for living a life like that, but I'm pragmatic. I'm independent. I do what I want. Get over it. Like, as much as you try to guilt me and shame me, like, I know who I am, and I know how I live my life, right? You know, so I'm not going to limit myself for society's benefit. I'm going to do the right thing according to what I think is the right thing, not according to what everyone else says is the right thing or what interpretation that is. And that right there is everything you as a parent need to teach your ISFP. Because if you do not do that, they will succumb to their vice of idleness. It's as if they've completely lost all hope. It's as if they are in a form of despair, right? And that becomes a serious issue. Yeah, I'm good, thanks. She too, the server, is an ISFP. She comes over checking on me. She's pretty cool, doing her job. Really like her. Very respectful. She gave me this water. So, you got to teach that to them, because ISFPs can be huge, gigantic victims of society, to the point where societal constructs and societal rules and social norms will rule them, rule their life. They're already worried that they're not worthy enough, like they're not caring enough, basically, and they're scared that they don't have the status. They're scared that people are talking shit about them behind their back. They're scared that people think less of them. They're scared that they're going to miss out on opportunities, or their choice is going to be taken away from them because they don't measure up or they haven't achieved enough. It's like an ISFP man who's constantly struggling with whether or not he feels good enough for women because he doesn't make enough money, or he doesn't have a stable job, or he hasn't moved out of his parents' house. It's the same kind of thing. It's the same kind of stress. And then he feels like he can't escape that because it doesn't matter what he does. He constantly gets stuck. And he's always stuck. And being stuck is the one thing that they got to do. And they just become idle. And then that just leads their SI critic to tear them apart. Their SI critic is like, wow, you're lazy. Wow, You don't put in enough effort. They're constantly derided and demonized by their S-like critic on a daily basis, telling them how they are not putting in enough effort. And then they especially hate it when other people around them are telling them, hey, you're not putting in enough effort. Although, to be fair, if you really want to get an ISFP, especially an ISFP child, to listen to you, you got to be like, hey, I put in more effort than you do. What the hell are you doing, right? Effort means everything to an ISFP. Just like status, titles, credit, keep being given credit for what they create or the decisions that they make, being given credit, status, those kinds of things. Always being given the opportunity to save face. If you want a ragey ISFP on your hands, you take away their ability to save face. And that can be a serious problem, folks. You don't want that for your ISFP. You don't want that at all. So please do that. There's a lot of consequences. There's a lot of bad consequences if you don't parent your ISFP children. The number one consequence, jail time. Number 2 consequence, being a sex offender. 3, a drunk. 4, drug addict. Doesn't matter their gender. It still happen to either of them. 5, being the laziest person you've ever seen in your whole life. Addicted to video games. My friend, who's now a meth head, he started playing World of Warcraft, and World of Warcraft became his idol. And he was drawing his sense of status and achievement from this game, World of Warcraft. And wow, his entire life just went down the toilet. This is an accomplished web developer who was making really good money. And to play World of Warcraft, to, deal with his idolatry, because WoW was his god, he took up a job at a Dollar General in the middle of nowhere. Because, that dopamine hit for his extrovert thinking inferior was there. And that's horrible. And then so it ends up becoming this endless cycle, this downward spiral for the ISFP in life. Their idleness just leads to more idleness and more idleness until they end up becoming the biggest burden on other people. And then they become entitled as a result. And they use their sense of entitlement pridefully to cover up their insecurity that they are unaccomplished or they haven't achieved anything. Parents, you have to go out of your way to prevent this with your ISFP son or daughter. I cannot stress how important that is. I cannot stress how meaningful that is. Please keep that in mind. So remember, Jungian parenting, it is everyone's responsibility to parent each other. Everyone. We all have parent functions. It's everyone's responsibility to parent everybody else. So, if we don't parent other people, we have the opportunity to parent people from the perspective of actually being parents. But then when we're adults and we see other people that need to be parents, it could be other people's children, it could be actually fellow adults. We have to parent them from the perspective of the mature feminine and the perspective of the mature masculine. It's really embarrassing when a man has to parent a woman. It shouldn't be that way. But there's not very many women out there who are willing to parent other women, let's be honest. That's why we're trying to do that within our women's group right now and give that opportunity to the women within our community. That's very important. So, let's keep that in mind. Super important. So, try to understand that, like, through Jungian parenting, like, if you don't say anything, no one's going to change. That ISFP could be idle forever. And it's only through challenge or suffering that a person is going to grow. Growth is painful. And ISFPs, they're willing to endure pain. They are willing to do it to accomplish. The problem is they're just so afraid of not accomplishing. They're so afraid of not having to show for something at the end of the day. So they end up becoming super idle to cover up that insecurity. And then they're literally those people that wake up 40, 50 years old and their entire life has gone by. Completely gone by their eyes. And they have no clue. They have no idea what even happened, because they've spent the majority of their life afraid. Folks, this is not what to do. And you as parents have the opportunity to bring ISFPs to this better place, to a much better place, a place where they can feel accomplished. So let's talk about that. Jungian parenting, there's two different phases. You have childhood and you have adolescence. And you have to approach both these phases differently. During childhood, according to Jungian parenting, you need to focus on developing your child's inferior function, also known as the infant, immediately, and focus solely on the inferior function. Then when they hit adolescence, while it would be great to handle the inferior function, you can no longer do so because their ego is protecting themselves. The ego will protect the inferior function, the parent function is waking up, and the parent function will attack you, even in a full rage, maybe even a fist fight. They will protect their reputation. They will do everything they can to save face. And if you're going to publicly shame them, it's fighting words, and they will take you out. You can't do that with an ISFP adolescent. So what you have to do is you have to focus on the critic function, because via cognitive orbit, which is what we've been talking about in season 18, cognitive orbit is the back door to the parent function. For during the adolescence phase, they need to be taught personal responsibility. And that is how you do that, by attacking their critic function and growing their critic function, because through cognitive orbit, the parent function will also slowly grow in response. Super important. So that's the Jungian parenting process. So let's talk about how to actually do that with an ISFP youngster. So you have an ISFP child. So first things first, you need to get them tangible, physical achievements in their hands right away. I can't think of anything better than merit badges. Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts is super important for ISFPs. Really important. Also, make them get into some kind of extracurricular activity. They'll need extracurricular activity to help them feel like they care. But they also need extracurricular activities like art, performance, really important. But make sure anytime that they create something, tell them that, hey, you accomplished something. That's great. Give them the attaboys when it comes to them accomplishing and achieving. You have to make achievement the number one goal of your ISFP child. This is why, like, for example, for boys, Boy Scouts is great because they got all those merit badges. You know what I'm saying? Help them earn trophies. There's trophies in hunting. There's trophies in running. There's trophies. My ISFP brother-in-law, even though my relationship with him is at an all-time low, and I will publicly shame him the next time I see him, mark my words. If I see him around other people, that is. Not when we're one-on-one. But around other people, absolutely I will. He's got it coming. But when I first met him, he was like this mountain biking guru, amazing at snowboarding, physical things. He's like Mr. X Games. He's like my own, pocket Tony Hawk in the family, He's got cases and cases of trophies. And they ain't participation trophies. First, second, third place, some fourth places of him competing in terms of mountain biking. He'd go to Crankworks every year up in British Columbia. And he just absolutely dominates. Because his father at ESTJ, who was all about achievement and accomplishment, took his son and made sure, for damn sure, that his ISFP son was accomplishing as much as he could, that he was achieving. And he had the physical, tangible rewards, totems, like trophies, as proof of those accomplishments, as proof that he actually did something of value. Merit badges, Eagle Scout, medals. These are important. There's a chance, I think we typed Michael Phelps recently, but he may be an ISFP, I'm not sure. But his competition in Australia, Mr. Thorpe, also known as the Torpedo, basically, that swimmer, that guy's an ISFP for sure. You know, it doesn't matter. Put your ISFPs in a place where they can achieve. It doesn't matter if it's soccer. It doesn't matter, or football. It doesn't matter. Or American football. Doesn't matter. Like lacrosse. I mean, my ISFP tweaker friend, he was extremely good at hockey. Very good at hockey. One of the best goalies ever. He dominated. He absolutely dominated, right? And then push them towards like art. I used to have an ISFP. He was my shop manager when I owned an arms manufacturing, an arms dealing business. And he streamlined our entire assembly line. Every gun that he made, it was like an art to him. Every one of them was his little baby. Every one of them had his name on it. And he told me, Chase, I can't let a gun go out with my name on it and have it be low quality. This guy would drive out to customer homes and fix the weapons if there was something wrong, like a manufacturer's defect. He went all out. And every other person that worked under him when he was working for me, I gotta be honest, like he made sure that they had the highest level of quality control because he knew that he was responsible for every single one of those weapons. And our entire company reputation in terms of quality was as a result of his input, his design, his desire. I am so thankful, and I am so honored to have had him on my team. And I do miss him, and I miss that time very much that we had in our lives. But he's a good man. And he took care of his family, moved to Alabama, made it work. He's a good friend, and I miss him. I very much miss him. But that is an example of diligence. That's an example of someone being accomplished. There is no better carpenter or finished craftsman that I know other than that man. And his love of firearms and his love of guns and the art of guns was unmatched. To be honest, he even gave my cousin Mike, an ISTP, a run for his money. Mike was all about mass production, but Justin was all about quality production. And I gotta be honest, when you're building firearms, quality is always better than quantity, because it is quality that produces safety. The last thing I need is finding out that one of my guns out there harmed another human being because of a manufacturer's defect. I couldn't live that down. Not with SI inferior, and especially not with extroverted feeling child. And in a way, the ESFJ unconscious of my ISFP shop manager was protecting me, the business owner, from that guilt, because he was protecting his reputation. And I never got in the way of him saving face. I'll never forget the look on his face when I fired him, though, because I fired myself at the same time, because the Russians invaded the Crimean Peninsula, and President Obama in those days put an embargo against Russia, and we couldn't import Russian parts for our weapons anymore, and we were instantly out of business. Broke my heart, but I went out of my way to help him get another job and get him rehired right away, so that he could still provide for his family. He had just had a baby boy, and I was not going to get in the way of that. He's a good man, and one of the best men I've ever known. So, Justin, if you ever watch this, cheers to you, friend. I miss you. And good luck with life and Godspeed, good sir. So, achievement is everything. You got to push your ISFP to achievement. But remember, they have NI child, so at least give them the choice give them the choice with what they want to achieve in. That's fine. Just tell them, hey, you have to achieve. And you ain't getting a choice there. But you get to choose what to achieve in. If you do this, all their insecurity about life will effectively go away. And they will be set. They'll be set for... They won't even experience quarter life crisis. This is especially important with ISFP boys, because ISFP boys will be closer to manhood. Instead of having to wait till they're in their late 20s before they reach manhood, they could actually reach it during adolescence, just because you, the parent, have an already extremely accomplished ISFP son. You know, with ISFP women, same thing. They need to be accomplished. I know an ISFP woman who is also a carpenter. She's very skilled. She always puts on her her own flavor, her own taste when it comes to actually doing the work that she does. She takes great pride in her work, knowing that her work is going to be inside of other people's homes, or their travel vans, or their RVs, etc. You know, it's stuff like that. I'm impressed. I'm consistently impressed with her work, because these are the people where it's like, for the love of the game or for the love of the craft. Just give them the opportunity to choose their craft, and their craft can change over time. But the difference is they get to choose the craft. Just tell them they have to have a craft, but they get to choose it. ISFPs heavily benefit from apprenticeships. So, put them in front of an apprenticeship. It could be a carpentry apprenticeship. It could be an electrician apprenticeship. Just something where they can make something with their hands. It could even be a cannabis apprenticeship. I know an ISFP who is the greatest cannabis expert I have ever met. His volume per plant, it's like he's getting 5 plants in one plant, because he has literally hacked and cracked the code in terms of how to grow cannabis properly. A fantastic fellow, and one of the men in my life that I respect the most. I often visit him probably about twice a year, bring him some books. He's in his 80s now, suffering from Lyme disease, but he's still out there running his loader. He's still out there working the ground. He's still out there every single day working. There's no such thing as retirement to this man. It's because of men like him that I respect so much, these ISFPs. I don't think I'm going to retire either. I don't want to. I'm not going to sit back and relax. I'm going to keep fighting, because, in Chaseland, because I have SI inferior, comfort leads to weakness. Gentlemen, ladies, comfort for me, SI inferiors, leads to weakness. But struggle means strength. And I watch these men through SI Critic struggle every day. And I look at them, these ISPs, and I'm like, there's no one stronger than that. And I get to learn as their student, learn from their SI Critic, learn from their SC parents, their diligence, their hard work, so that I can become the tortoise and not the hare, and actually win the race through effort and hard work, because of their accomplishments. So, achievements, folks. Go out of their way. Also, teach your ISFP how to protect their reputation. Teach them how to wisely save face, but also teach them humility. Teach them how to expose themselves to other people. To be honest with, yeah, I screwed up. That's super important. Because if you could teach your ISFP to admit when they've screwed up, and teach them how humility works, teach them how that if you don't do that, and you're constantly trying to save face, people will pick up on that, and they will lose respect for you, and thus you will not be esteemed. And then you're going to feel bad, and then your self-esteem is going to go down. If you want to be esteemed, you have to admit your mistakes. You have to be willing to let go of saving face. You have to be willing to admit humility, because humility will protect you. Teach your ISFP child that humility is the cloak that will protect them, the cloak of humility. To be willing to admit their mistakes to other people, even if it looks bad. Teach them that it doesn't matter how you look. It matters whether or not you're actually good. Because so many ISFPs out there are trying to look good instead of actually being good. They're the people who are pretending to work because they don't find any meaning or they don't care about their work. And they do it all the time. It's that idleness vice. Teach them that it's not about how you look. It's about what you're actually capable of. And if you can actually really accomplish something. Where's the achievement? Where's the proof? Where's the proof of your achievement? What is the proof of your accomplishment? You have to hammer that into your ISFP child at a very young age. Quickly. If you do that, they'll become one of the most advanced and potentially happiest ISFPs you've ever encountered. And that's what happened with my brother-in-law. He married my sister, a golden pair. I'll admit I'm kind of jealous, but then again I've been fucked over by every golden pair relationship I've ever had in terrifying ways. So, kudos to him, good sir. And I do respect him, and I am thankful that, you know, he is my brother-in-law and that he is with my sister. They have a great family together. And even though I have personal problems with him, I have to admit that there couldn't have been a better person for my sister. That's just reality. That man is diligent. Sometimes he likes to look good instead of be good. I'm just like, bro, we can't do that. Seriously. So yeah, congratulations. Hopefully your ISFP is accomplished by the time they're a teenager. Hopefully. But now's the time to teach them personal responsibility. They have NI child. They are extremely at risk of cognitive looping, where their hero and their child will just be out of control, and when they're an adolescent, their ego is like there all of a sudden. It's like fully grown. Oh crap. Because what's going to happen is that they're going to start cognitive looping because their parent function is underdeveloped. They're going to be making decisions based on what I want and what I feel, or what I'm in the mood. The phrase, if it feels good, do it, was literally coined by an ISFP. ISFPs are the source of that phrase. If it feels good, do it. That is literally the NIFI cognitive loop, and you as parents are responsible for preventing that from happening in your ISFP child. NI child, especially in women, is extremely hypergamous. They are often to the point where NI child women are often like the other woman in relationships. They're the ones facilitating cheating. You don't want that. NI child is also responsible in women for tons of unwanted pregnancies and tons of abortions as a result. Do you really want your daughter aborting your grandchildren? You might want to think about that. So, and then furthermore, like your son, he may not be rapping it because irresponsible, because as the parent is underdeveloped. That would be a problem too. He doesn't know how to do paperwork. He doesn't know how to do his laundry. He doesn't know how to pay bills. He's never had a job in his life. He doesn't know how to produce. He's not independent. He doesn't have insurance. He doesn't have a car. You see what I'm saying? So this cognitive loop will set your ISFP children up for failure. And then they will become insanely impressionable. To the point where if anyone gives them a little bit of attention, and anyone says words like, oh, I think highly of you. Imagine a married 38-year-old clergyman, basically, who is married, but is also screwing your daughter, your teenage daughter at the same time, and you have no clue. Well, yeah, that's because you're not parenting your daughter properly. So, what you have to end up instilling within your ISFP children during adolescence, in order for them to grow their responsible, expert at sensing parent, where they are responsible for their performance and able to perform well, there's one thing you must do. You have to teach them work ethic. Work ethic is introverted sensing critic. It is work ethic. Work ethic. You got to teach them work ethic. You have to show them that the only thing that really matters in life is effort. Effort, effort, effort. And yeah, they're outcome focused, and they're going to want a good outcome. But you got to teach them. You want high quality? You want the best outcome? You want to be remembered forever? You want to make an impact? You have to put in the time. You have to put in the effort. There is no get rich quick. There's only hard work. There's only struggle. There is only, you want to be the best of the best? You want to have your name on an amazing painting that people will remember forever? You have to put in the time. There is no easy street. There is no smart work. There is only hard work. You got to instill that in your ISFP child, especially as a teenager. Make them work. Make them earn. If I had an ISFP child, I'd be like, hey, you want to be able to have sex? You want to have choices? You know, great. You have to have your own job, your own car, your own insurance that you're paying for. You either better be working towards your GED or you better be in community college because the state is paying for it. Doesn't matter. You have to accomplish. You have to do what you need to do. Not only do you have to accomplish, but you have to accomplish well. I want to see some quality. So throughout childhood, you may have been looking at quantity of accomplishment. But during adolescence, folks, it is about quality of accomplishment. It's about the effort of SI critic. And you make them put in the effort. And if you look at what they make or their achievement, you'd be like, you could have done better. You could have done better. You could have put in more effort. You could have worked harder. And then when they do, praise them. Show them off. All the wayfarers that I've dated in my life, you know, the ones that were truly respectful and truly actually gave a shit about me, I very much loved showing them off to other people. I'm sure the INTJs in my life didn't exactly like that, but sometimes I just can't help myself, right? But the ISFPs always did appreciate it, you know, because I was effectively venerating them and increasing their status amongst my social circles. And that's important. That's really great. That's healthy for them. I'm not here to, like, take away their status. I'm here to build their status, right? But then there could be, like, predators out there who all of a sudden, your ISFP, there could be people in their age group, it could be people older than them. All of a sudden, your ISFP, like, you want to talk about, like, underage girls, you know, getting screwed over, you know, and, you know, potentially having sexual relationships with, you know, men who are not underage significantly. Those are ISFP girls. Because those men, like, sell them on the idea that their status is going to increase, right? That's the thing. Super important. So you have to show them that effort means everything. To the ISFP girls, tell them they got to put in the effort for their aesthetics. They got to put in the effort for the job. They got to put in the effort for what they create. They got to put in the effort to be pleasing, right? An interesting book that I've noticed that benefits ISFP women very well is Lady by Roosh, Roosh. A book called Lady. It's very short, and it kind of helps prepare ISFP women for relationships later. I will admit it's a bit traditional, and ISFP women are quite pragmatic. But since their golden pair is a hyper-traditional ESFJ, an ESFJ man, who could potentially be like a firefighter or something, it would really benefit them. You could give them the book or read the book to them and be like, look, here's the thing. Oh, and by the way, ISFPs who read, because TE inferior, teach them that too. The best ISFPs in the world are the ones who read. Good luck convincing them to do it, though, or having the patience to do it. But again, you can, but if you emphasize to SI critic, effort, time spent, effort, hard work, it's everything. And if you teach them, hey, you can be more accomplished because you're FI hero, which means you're bloody brilliant. FI heroes are brilliant, folks. They just are. They're brilliant. Sometimes they seem like complete airheads. Nope. If they read, they can have the most valuable opinion of all. And if an ISFP reads, they can do amazing things. Building amazing architecture, create amazing art. Something that is memorable, that will last indefinitely, where their name is literally carved in history permanently. Until the next extinction event, of course. But it doesn't matter. They're there, and they will be remembered, right? You want that for your son or daughter? You want that as part of your legacy? Maybe you should be parenting them properly. Maybe you should be going all the way for them in that way, right? I hope you are. So, based on that, please understand, like, how, they're not going to derive meaning in their work or what they do unless they understand that quality over quantity. You can go, like I said, quantity of achievements when they're in childhood, but in adolescence, it is quality. You have to show them that quality means everything. No one does quality better than an ISFP. Quality, quality, quality. And when that happens, they'll be able to produce that quality for the rest of their lives. And then they won't have midlife crisis, because they'll be able to take charge. They will be able to lead other human beings to take their own principles of quality that they've built and bring that to other human beings. Maybe assembly lines or boat lines or whatever. But these human beings consistently are in a situation where, they're teaching quality to other people and able to bring quality to others. The ISFPs in my life have helped increase quality of work. My editor right now, he's an ISFP, and the quality has been never better. He just fixed the Blue Yeti. I hope the sound is good. It sounded good to me. It sounded great. I hope you folks enjoy it. Here's to you too, Isaac. Thanks for being on the team, bro. Thanks for being one of the coolest people I know. Thanks for sticking to your beliefs. And thank you for your valuable opinion. You are wanted here very much, and I look forward to continuing to grow this company with your input and your opinions and your help throughout. And I will get all the obstacles out of your way, good sir. Thank you for everything you've done. Like Justin, I won't forget you either. Definitely. So, this is how you parent your ISFPs. Do these things, and your ISFPs won't have midlife crisis. They won't have quarter-life crisis. They'll become the people who produce the most quality the world has ever seen. They are quality. Quality is their identity. If you want quality, the ISFP is it. That is their life. But then, like I said, if you don't do these things, then they'll become idle. Sometimes you find an ISFP who is in the ditch and who's in the dumps. They're idle. They're self-harming. They don't have any future. And they're in so much pain. And when that happens, you got to be there for them, but in a different way than most people don't expect. Because FI heroes have this problem where, they don't know. FI heroes they don't know how, especially when they're young, they don't know how to navigate the social circles in such a way. They don't know how to navigate their status. They sometimes get stuck in their ways, or they feel stuck, and then they don't know who to talk to, because their reputation is so sensitive, their status. And if you're raised in a Christian environment, like my friend who slit her wrists, where she's afraid of labels like lazy or whore or all these horrible labels or deceiver or deceived or sinner, oh gosh, or not good enough because of her reputation. And the church, her whole life, right? Potentially, right? And her whole family holds her to this supposed moral standard that's not actually moral. And their family has this FJ culture where they will abide by other belief systems. They will abide by dogma. They will take on that dogma. And then they force their own family to abide and live by that dogma, even though they themselves have never actually verified whether or not that dogma is true. And ISFPs are looking to their parents because they don't have TI, they have TI demon. And they're looking to their parents to have that TI to at least verify their own beliefs before expecting the ISFP to live by those beliefs. And they're hoping other people, their inner child is hoping so much that other people will verify their beliefs so that they don't feel stuck, so they're not caught up by the chains and shackles of the dogma in their life. And she had some struggles. She had some struggles in her life, and I felt honored that she shared those struggles with me and what was really happening to her. And I will not dare utter those things here. But she didn't have anyone to turn to because of this Christian culture in her family. And a lot of time has passed, and I'm sure it's escalated a lot more. It's gotten worse. Who knows what happened to her? Who knows? What if something bad happened? Or what if she was forced to make a really bad decision that she feels bad about, that she would consider as immoral, but she didn't have a choice in that matter? Because protect my reputation, because that's all she has. Gotta save face, right? But she didn't have the support of her own family, because she knew that her own family and how they would react, because as the parent, right? That they would react in terms of condemnation instead of support. So then she feels stuck. She feels trapped, shackled. And then in secret, all of a sudden, blood everywhere. And then I get the call from her family telling me she almost died due to self-harm. Folks, this is not how it's supposed to be. This is not how it is. This is my final warning to you, parents. Do not allow your ISFP to be trapped, especially trapped by dogma or your own belief system. Allow them to develop their own belief system themselves. Because if you put dogma on them, and I'm talking especially to you SFJs out there, or you NFJs, but especially you SFJs out there, if you force dogma on your ISFP, God help you. There's a verse in the New Testament talks about Jesus, talking about the children. If anyone were to inhibit one of these children, they are in danger of the fires of hell, right? I'm probably paraphrasing. Be careful, because putting your dogma on your own children, you are definitely in danger of that. This woman, she didn't have anyone to go to, and she even came to me, but there's not much I can help because I'm on the other side of the country. I'm not in her family, the people that she lives with, the people that are closest to her. And she has to put on a mask. She has to put on a facade. Her ISFP demon, which is an INTP, that INTP mask, that NTP mask that I know so well, where she has to pretend within the dogma, pretend within her culture, her society, even though it's not real, and people don't actually accept her. And at any moment she goes out of line or outside of the dogma, she is publicly shamed and harmed, and her inferior function is harmed. So she feels like her inner child has absolutely no choice because she can't live. Folks, when our inferior functions are violated, sometimes, that's some of the reasons why people resort to suicide, if not some of the main reasons. Kind of like how INFJs don't have people stick around, right? Granted, ISFPs have to learn how to be responsible with their beliefs and responsible with their reputation and saving face and humility. And they have to be willing to admit to other people all those bad things that they're trying to hide from other people. They have to be willing to do that, because the truth is those people will flock to them and support them. But then there are those people out there, especially those Christian people, oh gosh, who will literally who condemn them, who will shame them publicly. That wasn't the norm. My mother did it. So, anyway, folks, That's it for this lecture, How to Parent ISFPs. If you found this lecture useful, helpful, educational, enlightening, please leave a comment below. Provide some feedback. We'd love to hear it. I'll see you on the next episode for How to Parent INTPs. Later.